everybody? Back again for number 14. Usually my favorite number for a number of reasons. It's the day of my birthday. And Pete Rose ruled that number. Just kidding. I don't really like Pete Rose. Anyway, we're back to talk about music. And this week's topics with Dave Duke and Mike Anderson, my friends, old friends. Music Never Ends. Our 14th this edition was my choice, and it was water. And it's funny how you say water and you have one concept, but we came out with a whole different playlist of our versions of water and what they mean. We have pirates, we have sailors, I think we have a boatman, a fisherman. You get washed by water, there's high tide, there's we're on the bottom, all over the place with this one, which is always makes it for one of a variety of music, a variety of different kinds of music, which is always enjoyable in listening to this. That you never really have a lull in this one. There's not very many long songs. They're always usually coincide with the other and different takes on water. You know, we have Fire Lake, we have Water on Fire, and the real big question, of course, is other than did y'all enjoy it, was would you pee on a man who stole your water? That's all I'm saying. Mike, what'd you think of it?
Oh yeah, I liked it. When we were doing it, I was feeling like this is come together really nice. We mentioned before that when we were talking after we made the playlist, that there were so many songs we had, way more than we put on here, and I definitely think we somebody else Dave suggested it, but we could definitely make another one, and that just shows you. I mean, there's so many good songs, and I'm happy with it. How about you, Dave?
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like you said, it's always a matter of interpretation, and I guess I got real excited because I was thinking it was going to be rivers, oceans, streams, bayous, and all of that kind of stuff, and it ended up being in some cases just water, bathtub water or drinking water or whatever it is, but that's the fun of it, and that's where we keep saying we make the rules, and at times there are no rules, so we can do what we want, and just gave us an opportunity to put on some pretty cool songs, and I thought we did real good as far as blending them and playing off each other for the most part. There were a couple of things we'll get into where I'm like, that wasn't my favorite right there. But overall, I listened to the playlist several times last week, and it flows good. So flows good like water.
Oh, terrible! I might have to quit.
All right, I'm out of here.
Nah, yeah, it's some early favorites. I mentioned before, but like you said, Dave, the flow of it really started out well. I had my song, which isn't everyone's favorite, Water, but it's definitely Water, the only one that really has. But it's like you're listening to an old Western about guys fighting over water and stuff like that, which is kind of crazy. And then, of course, one of my early favorites was, a Pirates Look at 40. How can you not like that song? That's just a well sung, well versed song. And it kind of kicks off. There's a lot of stories in this one. Into the Mystic, and then of course, things of that nature. Mike, what did you see in your first impressions of the first 3 or 4 songs?
Well, I say this, I think every time. I never really considered myself a jam band person, except I got pretty heavy into the Grateful Dead a number of years ago. But it's like there's a couple of bands you put on that I almost consistently love the songs, or at least really like them. And Water was Mo, and it's like you said, it's like don't mess with somebody's water in the West. It's like flowers on the grave for the person who stole your water. And it's an interesting song. I like it. I like the sound of it. A Pirate Looks at 40 by it's written by originally performed by Jimmy Buffett. Is he on this, Dave? This is a Dave song, this one.
No, it was a benefit concert, and they did it, to pay homage to Jimmy Buffett or whatever. But no, it was just a cover of one of his songs.
But yeah, so I didn't know if he played on there. I didn't actually look closely at the thumbnail there, but it's Jack Johnson and Dave Matthews. Like that one a lot. I had forgotten about that one. It was one that I recognized. And when we did, he died last year, and we did we had I guess you had that Dave Jimmy Buffett song. I was thinking, what else do I like by him? And I'd forgotten about this one. I really like that. And then Into the Mystic was mine, and I'm like a longtime fan of Van Morrison. It's off his Moondance record. There were a couple of records he put out, I think back to back or pretty close to each other, Moondance and Tupelo Honey. And I've just played those albums. I've worn out the records when I had records. And this is one of my favorites. I'll just a little bit about it. It goes into it's another sailor, like people heading out and being gone to sea, but then coming back and looking forward, and he uses metaphors related to the sea and such, of being back with the person he loves. And I've always that may be my all-time favorite Van Morrison song. So it was water. I had to put it in here.
Well, I liked the first three, how they flowed together too. And like you said, we're all three. I mean, we're all becoming fans of Mo and some of the jam band stuff because of Jose putting them on. I look forward to it. I like it a lot. Of course, I'm wondering if he's going back to other playlists, because I'm wondering, is this a long song or it's a live song? We did both of those already. So he leads off with a live long song. Now, it's not really long because the last minute of it is just all talking and riffing and all of that. So maybe cut off a minute of the song. It's not so long.
And
7 minutes and 30 seconds though is.
You want to hear the full confession? When I made my playlist, I used the studio version, water, which is like a minute and a half less. Okay, I apologize.
No, it's good. And and the Pirate Looks at 40 is actually somewhat new to me too. I mean, I hadn't really gotten into a lot of Jimmy Buffett over the years, but when he passed away, I started to listen to more of it. And then as we were looking at songs about oceans and sailors and stuff like that, I came across not only the Jimmy Buffett version of it that I think I'd remembered, but this other version of it. And when I heard it, it just blew me away. Who is Tim Reynolds then? Who does he play with?
He was known, but he used to be in a lot of bluegrass and jam and that jam band thing. And him and Dave Matthews, I first heard about him in the 90s when him and Dave Matthews did a bunch of shows together, just a bunch of acoustic shows. And he became kind of that guy with Dave Matthews plays, I think, the other guitar. So he was kind of a thing. So I guess they probably got together with Jack Johnson to do this. But yeah, that's when he first came on my radar, was when Dave Matthews was big, but then he decided to do some additional. Those were, I had some bootleg tapes people would send you, like they'd be filler parts of, and you get to listen to something and you're like, oh man, that's really good. I'm not the biggest Dave Matthews person, for whatever reason, not because I think they're jam band light, like most Fish fans think, that they just appeal to a different crowd and they have great music. So, and that is a really good part of it. And that was good. So.
Well, one of the things I printed out a couple of the lyrics this time, just on some of the songs, just to kind of hit some of it. So when people listen to it and we kind of do our commentary on it. But on this one, he at the end of the song he says, just a few friends. And later on, I think in the Bob Marley song, he talks about friends there. And then there's some other places where, getting together with your friends on the water, going fishing or sailing or boating. I thought that was kind of a common theme that we heard in a few of the different songs. And then Into the Mystic is one that, even though I've listened to Van Morrison, different Van really altogether. But it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago that I stumbled onto this song, Into the Mystic, even though it was on the Moondance and probably heard it a long time ago. But it wasn't until a few years ago that listening through some songs that it came up again. And it's a great tune.
Well, as we moved along, then it gets into, to borrow our theme, a little choppy waters here, but we get We get My
That's
Boatman's
true.
Dance by Yonder Mountain, which is a country bluegrass, and it's a fun song. I'll defend it till the bitter end. I love that song. It just the energy of it, especially when you see him live, is a lot of fun. Anyway, and then we get the Billy Joel Downmaster, another Alexa, the fishing song. Like, where's this coming from? We just heard, and then Dirty Water. Okay, Mike, go for it. What was going on here?
Water. He doesn't say more. We had no dirty water. We had no toilet water. We had no, yeah, yeah. I will defend this. This is the only Guided by Voices record I have. I've already put. This will be the second song, and I bought it. I mean, they had been around for years before this came out, and a friend of mine used to play a lot of it at work. And my understanding, I looked at some reviews. Well, I was looking up the lyrics because, like the previous song, I put on The Best of Jill Hives. I have no idea what it's about. I just liked it because of the sound. The best I can guess is, at least in part, it's about somebody like stranded, their boat has wrecked, and they're drinking dirty water. I don't really know, but I like it more for the sound. And I don't know, I just thought it kind of fit. When I first heard it, it was kind of it was between a couple of songs I really liked, and on that record, and yeah, I kept thinking it was an instrumental because it goes way in until the whatever those lyrics are start up, and it reminded me a little bit of Sparks by The Who from Tommy. You know, so I don't know, I liked it. Oh, when I was looking up the lyrics, also I saw a couple of reviews, and I didn't realize this, but this album was widely panned apparently when it came out. So maybe not widely. I saw 2 reviews, but they were pretty harsh. And this song in particular, they're like, "Why you have this good song, and then they do this, and then this other song?" And I don't know where these guys are. You know, music journalists are assholes. So what do you want? but I'm sorry, but yeah. So that's where I was coming from. Now go ahead, chop away, guys.
Well, you had me at The Best of Jill Hives. We all commented on a previous playlist what an awesome song that was, right? We liked it. It was one of the best songs on the playlist. And then this one, I don't know. I tried it 3 or 4 times. I tried to listen to it. I don't know if it was the lyrics or the song or whatever, but it just it hit me flat. But again, like you said, you have the one Guided by Voices album, and sometimes every track isn't the gem, you know. But keep playing them, or maybe you went with the dirty, you know, the dirty water, like the Dirty Old Town that he did with the Pogues back from another previous playlist too. So he's just getting into the dirty stuff, I think, maybe.
I'll play Dirty Mind by Prince on the next playlist. See how that works out.
Well,
go ahead.
I'm sure no one was enjoying dancing with a hole in their pants as much either. So
It was lively. As I said, it felt like it was on our country western playlist kind of thing with all the bluegrass thing. But it was a jam. I mean, it was good. You know, and then I did the Downeaster Alexa with Billy Joel, and it's just, I know it's just one of my favorite songs. It invokes the fisherman trying to make a living and trying to feed his family, and the waters aren't what they used to be, and you know, all of that kind of thing. And so, and when they start doing the violin and they're doing the yeah, oh, I mean, it's in the, I think it's pretty cool jam. What do you think, Mike?
Yeah, well, Boatman Dance, I just have 2 things to say about the Boatman. In my early years, I'd want to hang out with that guy, but now at this age, it's like, keep away from my daughter. You know, this guy's trouble. And I don't get the hole in the pants part. This is the Yonder Mountain String Band, Boatman's Dance. It's actually I looked it up. It's an old song.
yeah,
That they aren't the only ones, but apparently it's kind of one of their standards. Yeah, I don't know what the hole in the pants is. It just kind of makes it interesting, but I like it. You know, it's bluegrassy kind of Americana, and it's fun. And then the Billy Joel, you know, I like the spirit behind it. You know, the sailor, and he's out there and he's like giving everything into this. It's all right. I mean, it doesn't. I like it a lot better than other stuff that came out from him at that same time. It's a good song. I don't want to sell it short. But yeah, it's a sailor, a fisherman. It's kind of hard out there. So
It's kind of depressing. Yeah, we had a bunch of interesting songs, and I would say the Downeaster Alexa isn't the most most uplifting song, but of course, you know, I put on Washing of the Water, so I'm kind of guilty of a little depression there. Peter Gabriel's, you know, he was going through a whole divorce, a whole separation thing, and so then we get The Reach, which kind of, I think, well, like I was saying, The Reach could have really partnered well with the Billy Joel song for sure. And then we get High Tide, Low Tide, and then Low Tide by Bob Marley, which I'd never heard that song. I admit it, I haven't heard that song, but it was really good. Although I always ask myself, do we like Bob Marley because he's really good, or does Bob Marley always sing good songs, or, you know, but this song is really good. And then Theme from the Bottom by Fish. So got it a little back on course, but what do y'all think?
Dave?
Well, but you know, back to the Downeaster Alexa, just a couple of notes of interest. He had a daughter named Alexa Ray, so he named his boat after his daughter, and that's why it's the Downeaster Alexa. And he actually owned a boat that he had named Alexa, so it's loosely based upon that. And then again, the story of you know, the fishermen in that part of the country, and you know, they mentioned Martha's Vineyard, you know, vineyards and the islanders, and you know, all of that. So it's from that northeast area of the country. And then you mentioned, you know, that it actually does pair well with The Reach, and that's why I chose those two songs. I wasn't going to put them back to back, but I was going to play them sometime on the playlist because they were both about the Northeast and Maine and in that area, and that, you know, with the Dan Fogelberg song and The Reach. You know, that next three songs, you know, we got a little slow there for a little while. You had, you know, was it Washing of the Water?
Right, Peter Gabriel off the
Peter Gabriel, and I'd never heard that song, and let's just talk about that one for a minute. You know, when I first listened to it, it was kind of hard to hear. He starts out really soft, and I think it's by design. It's so, you know, as you crank your speakers up, where that first couple of lines that he sings is really pretty soft, and then the second verse he gets a little bit louder, and then he's building that crescendo of that pain and that emotion, and what the water helps him do to wash away the pain of that. And the more I've listened to it, the more I really like the song because of just the beauty of it. And Peter Gabriel, when he sings in his falsetto voice, it's just amazing how clear and crystal clear that is when he sings like that. And I think sometimes we listen to artists and we take that part of it for granted. But the fact that he had to go to the high register and sing those notes, and with the emotion of it, it really hit me hard as well. And then you know, and then we talked a little bit about the Bob Marley one. We'll talk a little bit more about that one in a little while. But I think those three songs went well together as well. Washing the Water. Keep saying the wrong thing. Washing of the Water. Is that what
Washing
it is?
of the Water, right?
Washing of the Water, and then the Reach, and then the High Tide, Low Tide. And I talked about it earlier. I like the do we like Bob Marley because he's Bob Marley, like you said, or is it, you know, anytime it's reggae, we kind of like it. But this one had that kind of the ocean, you know, sailing kind of funk to it as well. And then the friendship, and You'll Always Be by My Side, and Through High Tide and Through Low Tide, and the message of that, the love and the message is like, hey, it doesn't matter if we go through hard times or anything, you're going to be my friend, and you're going to always be by my side. So I really appreciated that one.
Just to pick it up with that one first, and I'll go back to the others. I didn't know that song either. I think, like many people, I started my knowledge of Bob Marley in the '80s, listening to that greatest hits, Legend. And you know, the most commonly known songs, they're all good, but No Woman, No Cry, and Jammin', and you know, Buffalo Soldier, whatever. I'm sure I'm forgetting some big ones, but so you know, I know. I mean, he in the shortness of his life, I mean, he wasn't exactly young, but you know, he had just kind of started really getting out there. Um, you know, widely known when he died, but he put out a lot of music during that time, and I had not heard this song. It was on I heard it on a box set that came out in the mid '90s, and I think it's called Freedom. I may be wrong about that, and I loved it. They played it on the radio, and I was like, "Where has this been?" You know, and just like the arrangement, it's just real mellow, and the harmonies going along behind him. Yeah, and it's like, you know, uh, high tide or low tide. It's like that's what a friend is. I mean, if you're not willing to do that, you know, you got to be there, good and bad times. I want to be a fair weather friend. So yeah, I appreciate it. I like that one a lot too. That was when this topic came up. That was the first one I thought of. Let's see, the reach to me, I think this has been said, it has been said, it was a lot like Downeaster Alexa. I've always liked Dan Fogelberg, and this one it's kind of like, what was the other one? Hang on, scroll. Oh, Pirate Looks at 40. I know I'd heard both of those songs. They were very familiar, but I just like they weren't in my front part of my brain, and so you know, I think about the same as Downeaster Alexa. Beautiful lyrics, and it's about, you know, the sea and people going into it. Was I overwhelmed by it? No, but I'd call it an essential song for sure, and it definitely grew on me the more I listened to it. The Walking on the Water. That's a different song. Washing of the Water. Yeah. You know, I didn't know the backstory to that one. So I heard, you know, he said something about what she did to me, or, you know, whatever the line is. And so I was never really sure what that was. So that's interesting, given the story of his wife. I think he's had other songs about his divorce, at least touching on it. But when I heard it, yeah, like I heard like washing clean, like a baptism. It was like but also being consumed by the water. You know, the water taking you away. There's a lot of stuff. He's great at doing things on multiple levels. It does start mellow, and I like when he kind of goes in. I don't know if it's going into the chorus or whatever. When he goes, the chords, when he changes them up, there was really got interesting there. This one reminded me a little bit of some of his stuff of his newest collection of songs. But yeah, I liked them all.
Yeah, here's a quick off tangent question, and whether you feel about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or not. Why is Dan Fogelberg not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame?
You know, it's
Should he
interesting.
be?
Well, you know what? It's interesting you bring that up, because on my Facebook feed or whatever, I saw something the other day where they were uh, talking about all the groups that aren't in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And so that may be a playlist waiting to happen for us, right? Because it's not that hard. You can look at the list. There's probably 30 or 40 that you really can say, oh, they can make a case for why they're not in there. And yeah, Dan Fogelberg is one where he definitely should be. And there's a lot of others like that. You know, a lot of the rock bands of the 70s and early 80s aren't getting that attention either. The Foreigners and the Triumphs and Rush, and you know, Rush finally got in, but
Yeah, finally, you're right.
so there's a lot, even people that we've had on our playlist, you know, with Mike playing some of the Warren Zevon, and he's not in, and so there's a lot. I think we could probably make a playlist on those not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for sure.
Yeah,
Here, here.
I just brought it up. I just thought that was kind of interesting because he all on all these playlists, those he never has a bomb. It's never something like you go, man, that's horrible, or that's no, I didn't like that. You know, with some of the groups, you're like, okay, but with him, it's always consistent. You know, and I just thought, man, maybe it's because
Well, you mentioned that that on that album that this song came off of, which was a double album called The Innocent Age, released in 1981. And on that album, there were 4 top songs, or at least charted songs: Same Old Lang Syne, Hard to Say, Leader of the Band, and Run for the Roses. So on this one album, he had 4 hits. And then again, The Reach wasn't even considered in that, but it's one of my favorite tracks on that album. But just goes to show you that you can have a good song like The Reach, and it didn't even chart or anything.
Yeah, and it's I think the songs we've had so far are all acoustic, but he had some rocking songs too. I think the album Phoenix had some, and I'm trying to remember the early ones. And he had one record he did with somebody else, had the song "The Power of Gold" or something like that on it.
Jim
And that's
Weisberg, yeah.
yeah, and those, I mean, those are all, I would label file them under rock and roll. So I don't know. I guess it's if you have a good um, promotional agent or whatever that probably helps you get in there, or you're friends with, at least up until recently, Jan Winter. He had
he's no
some say
longer
over
there.
that, I
Thank
think.
God. Maybe it'll change now a little. Maybe the biasness won't be as much, even though I don't think he had that big of an influence.
No, I'm just being a jerk about him.
Well, he keeps about people. Triumph is a band that says Rolling Stone never liked us. Jan Wenner doesn't like us. That's why we'll never get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now,
Right.
Dave and I grew up with Triumph. They were huge. I think they should be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Those guys really, for a stretch. I mean, if the Lovin' Spoonful is in, why is Triumph in? What did the Lovin' Spoonful have? What did the yes, they were kind of, but Triumph in its heyday, they put out some good music. So anyway, get
Jethro
off on
Tull.
the little
You have Jethro Tull ticket right behind you there. Jethro Tull's not in.
right, which is insane, So and of course, who's not also in there? Fish. I don't know why Fish is, but one day they will be in because they're part of the machine. Anyway, we got back to the thing. I put Fish theme from the bottom, and then we have 2 women songs. Breaking the rules once again. Where we
Whoa, wait a minute. There's
sail
no
on,
anti-women
sailor.
rule. What are you saying?
And I asked for one.
And I played the first one. Just put that on the record. It wasn't Mike who came in first on that.
Nah, I thought they both went well together. I thought actually theme went well with the high tide or low tide song, and then it kind of with the 2 women back to back songs. I thought that really went well, and both of them are great songs.
Yeah, so on the Fish first, theme from the bottom. I'm really, it's like with Mo. It's like, and there's another one I'm blanking out on that you've played that I really like. I like them. It's like everything I've heard, including, I guess, the solo Trey Anastasio. There's nothing I haven't liked. And I'm looking back in the past when I've heard somebody else playing them. It was probably my own bias why I didn't listen to them. I don't remember anything that was bad. Bad. But I'm not really sure what this song is about. I mean, I like it, but it sounds like the rich are on top and the four. I don't know. I don't know.
I think you got it. I feed from the bottom, we feed from the top. We on morsels you drop. It's just one of those things. I think anyone can identify. But and then who are your friends? Know who your friends are. So in times, I think it's more of a remember what you were like at the bottom. When you reach the top. Don't forget how you got there. I think that's what this kind of song is about. So
Yeah, I'm sure.
right, and well, of course, you wouldn't let me play a 15-minute live version. So but no, and to your bias, Mike, and I think this happens with a lot of people. Again, Fish fans are so accustomed to listening to Fish that when there's extended jams, we're into it. But of course, a person who doesn't listen to extended jams are like, what's going on? Why are they playing this for 15 minutes? While the Fish fan is like, because we've experienced that live. This is just my interpretation. We experienced that live, that we understand what's going on there. It's never going to be as good, but we get that. Like, oh my God, this is 15 minutes. This is the greatest thing in the world. We're thinking. But people who don't go to the shows don't get that, so to speak. You know, you can always enjoy a great jam, but let's face it, if I put on one of their concerts and you get 5 songs on one side, they're all 15 to 17 minutes long, all you hear is a lot of jamming. You're like, what's going on there? This isn't, and it kind of offsets the lyrics a little because, of course, they get into the jams. Not that they don't have, I think, great lyrics, but I think that's a little bit part of it. And to actually listen, this is probably the first time I've listened to the studio version in 25 years when it first came out, because I just, I don't listen to the studio stuff. So,
Well, like Mike said, I'm liking it. So don't stop with the Fish stuff. So Trey Anastasio, he plays with Fish, right? Is he in the band, but he also does solo stuff. So I think he co-wrote or worked on this song as well. And then I never knew the origin of the name of the band Fish. But when I looked at the person who wrote it, it says Jonathan Fishman. Is that how they came up with Fish?
Kind of, he's the drummer, but no, not exactly. But yeah,
okay.
It is kind of part of the lore.
I didn't know that or not, but let me say something musically about this song that I really liked. Not going to get all technical and stuff with it or whatever, but the fact that they do this a lot, where they take a simple piano progression that you would not normally think, and I don't know the actual, it was 1 5 2 7 or some weird kind of thing that you wouldn't normally put together, and they do that and they play that, and then that becomes the chord sequence for this song, and it's like that is amazing and brilliant that they can do that. On its own, you wouldn't put those piano notes together and think, oh, this is going to be neat, this is going to be cool. It's actually off a little bit, but then they come in with the drums, they come in with the guitar, and they build the chord progressions around that and keep playing that in the background and whatnot. So I think that's a mark of a brilliant song. And on this one, I was hung on that. I was like, man, I'm going to keep listening to this because of that, of how that starts out quirky and then builds into a full out song and a full out jam with it. And the lyrics and stuff, like you said, are pretty interesting as well. Not sure about the cover of that album, but with the
which one? Billy Breeze. That's Mike Gordon. Come on, everyone loves Mike, the bass player. Mike Paige McConnell's the piano player. Mike Gordon, Trey, and then Jonathan Fishman, who wears a dress and plays the vacuum. Yes, those are all true. So anyway, there's your little Fish tidbits for the day. No pun intended. So, but talk about the women. I mean, let's face it. Sail on Sailor. We've all heard that song before.
Well, it's a classic Beach Boys song. And Mike, I think we talked about this too. We were battling on which Beach Boys song we might play, and I had a couple on my list, and Mike had a couple on his list. And this isn't a song that I was familiar with at all. But as we start researching music, and I go, oh yeah, Sail on Sailor, Beach Boys, and then this other thing pops up and says, Lulu featuring Sting. I got to listen to this. I got to hear this. And I played it 2 or 3 times and went, no, I like how it's a little more upbeat. I like how the piano starts at the beginning. I love her voice on it, and how Sting complements her voice on it. And it's just newer and fresher than maybe the original Beach Boys version of it was. And so that's why I put it on. And who doesn't like Lulu? I mean, what's her signature song from back in the 60s? She did like To Sir with Love, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The movie with Sidney Poitier. And so that's about the only thing I know about Lulu. Anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna sound like I'm bashing on you, Dave, because I was like the previous two songs, like, yeah, it's okay. And and I'm not being fair with this previous song. I do like them. But this one I was prepared to hate. I mean, I'm like a big, I'll just be flat out honest with you. It's like there's like two Beach Boy albums I love. And one of them is Holland. One's Pet Sounds, and one is Holland. And this one's off Holland. And it was on my list. I was definitely going to get it on there, but I guess that's kind of one of the things you got to be prepared for. It's like if you want it on there, you better get it on while you can, because somebody else may pick it. And so I've always loved that song. Um, and so then I heard Lulu and Sting, and I do like To Sir with Love, and I love Sting, his music. I know some of his stuff gets a little, yeah. The older he gets, I think, yeah. But and the Police, So I was just gonna hate this. I was like, man, that was supposed to be my song, but it's really good. I like it. They go well together. For however old she is, or for him that matter, their voices mesh well together. And honestly, I have heard covers of a number of Beach Boys songs that are great songs in their own right. And as much as it's heresy to any music nerd who loves Pet Sounds and Holland, it's a really good song. I really like what they did with it. So I appreciate you putting on. In fact, I think it's better for having that than one that we've all heard and whatever. I just want to put it on because I like it. So yeah, I don't know what else Lulu did, but I do know To Sir with Love, which is a great song.
Oh yeah, and then of course your Lucinda Williams song. That's another classic song, blues song. Talk a little bit about that.
Oh yeah, just briefly. It was. I didn't actually. I have this record. I think it's her first. It's her second record, but really the first one that was kind of her shining, and it had a hit on it, relative minor hit, I guess. But it was written. It was an old blues song, and I did some reading up on it. And the guy, was it Tommy Johnson? I think wrote it, performed it early. And if I'm wrong, you sue me. I don't have notes in front of me, but when I was reading about him, there's a character in. If you've seen Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? There's a guy that I always thought was based on Robert Johnson, because I always heard the story about the crossroads, and he met the devil there, and he sold his soul for the ability to play guitar and write blues songs, whatever, for fame. And there's some dispute whether that actually was the story originated with this guy who wrote this song. So I don't know, but I'm gonna have to check out more of his stuff. So yeah. I asked for water and he gave me gasoline. It's like, who hasn't been there? No, seriously though, it's like people don't always do what you want. You need help, and they might stab you in the back or take advantage of it. So that's pretty much where it came from. And I had set that aside because I did want to put a female singer on, and I kept it anyway after Davis.
Yeah, we have no rule against that.
No, I thought it went good after that too. It was I like the fact that you surprised us with some of these cool old bluesy kind of songs, and it had a great vibe to it, great message. And I think you played Lucinda Williams a couple times, or at least one other time on a playlist. And yeah, she's got the soul for sure, the way she sings it. And so yeah, I enjoyed it. Yeah,
Yeah, I like the other Car Wheels on a Gravel Road.
yeah, that one. Yeah, that was a good one.
Great song. But yeah, this song as well. And then of course we went out with icons. Eric Clapton, Walk Out in the Rain, Bob Seger, Fire Lake, REM, Find the River. They're your lakes and rivers, Dave, and throwing a little rain.
There you go. I had a lot of other rivers and streams and lake songs and stuff like that. And I wasn't planning to put Fire Lake on there, but it kind of went with your song with Walk Out in the Rain, and he was saying, if you don't love me, then just leave, I don't need you. And And the Fire Lake kind of had a similar, you getting cold feet on the marriage and the wedding and bailing out on that. And so it kind of had a similar theme to the two songs. And but I wasn't originally going to put Fire Lake on there. I think I had about 5 or 6 other songs ahead of it.
Oh, I'm glad you did. I really like that song, you know. I tell myself I'm not gonna I'm like, oh, Bob Seger, but man, it really had at towards the end there, it is really good. And like I said, it flows really well, flows into Find the River. But yeah, I'm glad you put Fire Lake. Here's the thing, is Bob Seger better than Bruce Springsteen?
Oh,
That's what I was going to
without
put
a
on.
doubt, no.
But we haven't put any Bruce Springsteen on any of our playlists.
Right, but we'll listen to Bob Seger 2 or 3 times.
So we do, yeah, but we do the road song and we don't do, Born to Run or something like that,
Right. And then we don't do the River song here. And you even have an album called The River. But no, I'm just giving you a hard time. Obviously, Bruce Springsteen is, but Bob Seger really delivers every time. And that, I don't know, I'm just a little biased because of that Fire Lake song. Every time it comes on, I'm just like, oh, I really like this song. I don't know why you shouldn't, but I do. And then, of course, the REM song, Find the River, kind of caps it all off, I think.
Right. Well, I think Mike was talking about this before, so I'll let him. I won't steal too much of the thunder, but I didn't realize the backing vocals on that were the Eagles, right? Didn't you say that, Mike?
Yeah, I didn't look it up after this, but at least you can hear it. At least a couple of them. I think maybe, I don't know if Don Henley, but it sounds like Glenn Fry and maybe Timothy B. Schmidt. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I looked it up. It was Don Henley, Glenn Fry, and Timothy B. Schmidt were doing. So that's pretty powerhouse there to get them to do backing vocals for you.
Yeah, and I think that was a time period that was after they had broken up, I believe. And correct me if I'm wrong again, but I think that was kind of there was a lot of acrimony there. So maybe it was recorded before that or whatever, but they added a lot to that song.
What I did a little bit of research on this song was that he'd actually started writing the song in the early 70s and never finished it. Like he had kind of thought it was going to be on one album and then it didn't quite come together. And so it didn't actually get, he was going to release it as a single a few years before that, like in the late 70s, but then he ended up holding off and putting it on the 1980 album Against the Wind, which that album charted and did real well. But so it was kind of a late blooming song of his that he had kind of been holding on to. So 1980-ish time frame, it probably was when the Eagles were in that breakup phase, right? 80, right around that time, 81.
Right. Mid 80s for sure.
Yeah. And so what is Fire Lake? It's like at first listen, it sounds like it's just this place people go to get in trouble, or this idyllic kind of party place or whatever. And Uncle Joe, you remember Uncle Joe? He's going out there and got to tell poor Aunt Sally or whoever she is. But then the more I listen to it, they talk about aces and eights, and which is the dead man's hand. And I kind of wondered, is this like metaphoric for like, dying or going on to more, I'm probably reading too much into this, but it's kind of, I never really thought about this before. My mom had the 8-track of this and we listened to this album all the time, this 8-track all the time. And I love this song in particular. It was much more than Against the Wind. So I don't know, just something I was thinking about. You guys have any theories about what
Well, I think you're spot on. It's that marriage is a gamble. You're rolling the dice, and it's a crapshoot, and maybe you need to get out before you get in too deep, and that's why Joe ran off, to Fire Lake. But I think that Fire Lake is actually a place in Michigan. There's actually but who wants to take that long shot gamble is one of the lyrics in there. Joe's run off to Fire Lake. He's not willing to take that gamble and stick in the marriage and the wedding and anyway, I think that's how I interpret it.
I think Uncle Joe may be disappointed at his age going out there, hoping those bronze beauties or whatever they sing about are going to give him the time of day. Just a thought. Anyway.
Yeah, who wants to wear those gypsy leathers? I don't know what that means. All the way to Fire Lake.
I think that's motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of thought that, but I don't know why it's called. I've heard like gypsy biker, that term before. I don't know.
Anyway, probably, yeah.
I don't think I've ever been on a motorcycle, so.
You've never been on a motorcycle?
I think when I was very young, I've never driven a motorcycle. I've never had control. Then it's only been a couple times I was like holding on for dear life to like my dad or somebody, So I don't know much about bikes.
So Jose, tell us about Walk Out in the Rain and the Eric Clapton song.
Oh, that's actually just a personal favorite album of mine. I've always loved that album. I always thought it was great. I love that era of Eric Clapton and more down to earth. And this is obviously one of my favorite songs. It's just a great moving song. I think, and that album got panned. It didn't get panned, but man, I think it delivers on all different areas. Maybe because I like that kind of music, and of course, Walk Out in the Rain. We've all been there. We've all had to walk out in the rain, good and bad. So I think he kind of identifies with that, and I just think the song is well crafted.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny how rain can be, related to crying, related to like joy and washing and release, or in this case, I guess he's to take a walk in the rain. If you don't want my ring, just get out. And I don't know if is this based. He's had some interesting relationships over the years and songs about them. Is this based on anybody in particular?
I bet it's about Patty, right? It's about in that era where he talks about it. But yeah, he's had his moments.
This is the downside of Layla, I guess. Layla afterwards.
Well, and I think that's why this album gets overlooked a lot. Is because man, he put out so much in the '70s. I mean, you had Derek and the Domino, and then you had 461 Ocean Boulevard. A Wonderful Tonight, Slow Hand. So I think this kind of, and I think it was just an album he kind of wanted to make, it not the pressures of okay, I have to sing the song or the song or put out a hit, just because he was always talking about wanting to join the band. Robbie Robertson quit. There was always that rumor that he was going to be part of the band. He always loved that music. He played with Delaney and Bonnet, which is kind of the same kind of music. So yeah, like I said, Backlist is the album, and I just think I think all the songs on it are really good, but people tend to
Were some of the band members on this?
I think
know
so.
There was one record
Right.
that there were at least.
So, no, just a fun album. Like I said, I think it went well with the last three songs, but I do have to admit the Fire Lake kind of really takes over in those last three. Not that REM is ever overshadowed.
Well, I remember before we get into the REM song, I remember you having that album and playing it a lot. And I didn't remember the song, but the lyrics of the song are just so good. Oh, darling, walk out in the rain. I have come from so far away just to put a ring on your finger. If you said all that, you've got to say, then please don't feel the need to linger. Just walk out in the rain. Walk out with your dreams. Walk out of my life if you don't feel right. I mean, he's giving her a chance to just look. If you don't want to be here, then don't be here. And I thought that, like that metaphor of walking out in the rain. Just leave it behind. Get on the train. Go. I just thought that was really cool.
Well, I guess the last one is Find the River by REM. And just real quick before I didn't really talk about how those last few songs flowed together. I think they really did. Find the River isn't really thematically. The sound is different from these others. But I chose it because it's one of my favorite REM songs. And I think it sounds like an ending in a lot of ways. It kind of wraps things up, even if it's not exactly connected to the songs immediately before it. It was the last song on Automatic for the People. So I always kind of think of it as an ending song anyway. And boy, that record, I played that one to death. I had the record, I had the CD, I had the cassette, and I'm sure people will disagree, but walking away, looking at their whole career, I think that was their peak. I think after that they had some stuff like Monster. You know, some people hate it, some people love it. I think it was a real hard time for them, that record, because of this huge tour. And but this one, it's like they just hit so many great things. You know, they hit their stride, and it's so many great songs before that. But anyway, for me, this one all just came together, and this particular song kind of really wraps that album up. And this one could have maybe gone also on the road thing in a way, because to me, when I hear this, it's about a journey in life. You know, it's about, you know, the river, how I interpret this, because their lyrics, Michael Stipe's lyrics are often pretty cryptic, to say the least. And so yeah, it's like this journey he's describing. And so that's kind of how I don't know if he wrote all the lyrics. I should know that. But that's why I put it on. I thought it was a good place to end.
I thought it was a pretty perfect ending to a really great playlist. Really, I was listening to it again this morning, and I just thought, man, this was one of the more diverse, more fun ones to listen to, because there's never really a dull moment in any of the songs. Maybe Guided by Voices. Just kidding. Not true.
Let's
'Cause
see,
it's
Guided
something
by
that-
Voices, Tom Waits.
I was just kidding.
I'm just your punching bag. Whatever, I'm kidding.
Yeah. One of my regrets is Dave not going to the REM, missing them in 1986. Dave was the one who introduced me to REM, and I remember him getting the albums and then having tickets to that one, and I couldn't go. And just another fun fact about motorcycles: never go on a motorcycle with a guy named Rick Russell, 115 miles an hour down the road. You can make Waco to Austin in like 45. There. That's why you don't want to ride. But he used to have this Ninja, and he would go 100. You'd be on the back, and you'd be going over 100 miles an hour, and you just thought, "This is insane."
Well, back in the day, I liked REM, but it was only that first, you know, the first when they started hitting it big, and those first 3 or 4 albums or whatever. I went back and bought some of the first couple ones as well, but really all the way up to about this one here that you put on, Mike, and then after that, I kind of lost track what they were doing after that. But every time I hear an REM song that I haven't heard in a while or I wasn't familiar with, I remember how much I like them and how much I like them now. And this song here, I would say this is probably the best way to end the playlist, but it was probably my favorite song on it. I listened to it again today a couple of times, and the message of it is, you know, at the beginning he says, "And nothing is going my way, nothing is going my way," and then it builds towards the end, and it gets positive, and it says, "Strength and courage overrides the privileged and weary eyes of river poets search naivete, pick up here and chase the ride. The river empties to the tide. All of this is coming your way." Like now it's coming. You're going to have your moment. And it's such a powerful thing. And the other thing I want to talk about, kind of like I talked about with Fish and how they do certain things. Well, REM does certain things that are only REM too. And so if you don't pick up on this, they start out and each of the verses is kind of a somber, you know, real just like a stair step down, you know, each note, and really kind of soft. And then they get into the chorus each time, and it becomes a whole nother song with a perfect melody and a blend to it that you can remember and sing. The first part, not so much. It's like, you know, "Hey now, little," you know, they kind of do that little thing each time, but then each time they go into that chorus, it's like, whoa, this is a great melody and with a great song, you know. And anytime you can add the words of ginger, lemon, indigo, coriander stem, and rose of hay. Anytime you can put that into a song other than parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme, you got to be doing something right. So I like that.
Good observation. Well, I think we all enjoyed it. Any last words from any of you guys about the water could have been torture. But
I'm looking forward to I can think of a bunch of songs right now. And I'm looking forward to the next one around, whenever that is. Some of the previous playlists, we've also had lots of leftovers. So there's lots to explore. Playlist 14. Doesn't seem like that many, but it's been great.
What are a couple of the songs you regretted or you didn't put on? We'll just go around the room and at least just mention a couple.
A lot of Grateful Dead songs. Black Muddy River, Lazy River Road, the Mississippi Half Step, or Across the Rio Grande, whichever you want to call it. Songs like that. Obviously, the Who, "See in the Sand." I've been reading that Who book. I was like, I should be putting one of these on, and I didn't. And Drowned is a great song. But those were just a couple of them that, yeah, I kind of skipped over.
Yeah, the two you mentioned, I was so close to putting those on, but they never really, the Who ones. I was a certain period in my teens, I was just fanatical because I thought about that record because I thought I totally relate to that kid, which no, not really. Much different background than the character on Quadrophenia. But those were on there. I'm trying to think, Night Swimming, which is another one off the same REM record, which I like almost as much as that one. I mean, and so I very nearly put that on. I don't know if you're familiar with Nick Drake. He had a song called Riverman. I don't know. It's pretty mellow. I wasn't sure how it'd fly, but I may put it on the next one. Oh God, there's so many. The Dire Straits had several. Elvis Costello, and then there's a Pogue song about immigration called "Thousands Are Sailing." So any of those, and there's many more. My list, I'm looking at it. There's 45 that I have not used yet about water. So yeah.
We'll definitely have to do a two. Yeah, there were some songs that I've been wanting to do "Waiting in the Velvet Sea" by Fish, and of course I didn't get that on before Jose played his Fish song. Some of the other Beach Boys songs like "Sloop John B" was on my list. "Come Sail Away" by Styx, was another one I thought of. I did spare you not putting on the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. However, I came across a speeded up version of it by a group called the Headstones, and it's a pretty cool track of that. So maybe somewhere down there. And then, of course, the Crosby, Stills, Nash stuff with the boating and the Wind on the Water, and also Southern Cross, that kind of thing. So yeah, lots of good stuff to choose from. Hopefully, we'll make it on the part two.
Oh yeah. Well, I guess that's a wrap. Thanks everybody for listening if you are and watching, and we're looking for number 15 soon. Talk to y'all later.